What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to GamerFuzion. Star Wars Zero Company is out now, and it is a deeper tactics game than it first lets on. So today we are going through 15 things the game never really tells you. Some of these are buried in tooltips that flash past in half a second. Others come straight from the official tips the developers published just before launch. And a few I pulled out of stat screens while going through hours of gameplay footage. If you have already seen our beginner's guide, this one goes a layer deeper rather than repeating it. None of this is spoiler territory either, so you are safe if you have only just started. Let us get into it. Number one is the first thing that surprises anybody coming from XCOM. Zero Company does not hide the battlefield behind fog of war the way that series does. When a fight begins, you can generally see where the enemy units are standing. That changes your opening turn completely. Instead of creeping forward and hoping, you get to read the whole board before spending a single action point. You can plan an entire turn before committing to any part of it. There is one caveat worth stating though. Some enemies are still concealed until something reveals them. The scout ability Combat Recon specifically lists revealing hidden enemies as part of what it does. So treat the visible board as most of the picture rather than all of it. It is still an enormous amount of free information by the standards of this genre. Number two is the habit that separates good players from everybody else. You do not have to finish one character's turn before starting another. The official tips describe this as interleaving action points between characters. Move your scout 2 steps and look at what that reveals. Then check whether somebody else is now better placed to take the shot. Then come back to the scout afterwards if you still want to. Most people play these games in a strict order without ever realizing they are allowed to switch. Your entire squad is available to you at once. So you can spend a single point purely to test a position and read the new numbers. Only then do you decide who actually pulls the trigger. It is the fastest way to stop wasting turns. Number three is probably the most misunderstood rule in the whole game. Everybody knows an operator gets 3 action points on their turn. What almost nobody realizes is what that number actually means. The official tips spell it out directly. The limit of 3 only applies to how many points a character can hold at any given moment. It is not a cap on how many they can spend across the turn. Abilities and assists and eliminations can all generate additional points as you go. So an operator can genuinely act more than 3 times in one turn if you keep feeding them. That reframes the entire combat system. You are not budgeting 3 actions. You are running an engine that keeps paying out as long as things keep dying. There is a related category worth watching for as well. Some abilities are labeled fast actions, and those cost a single point while being limited to once per turn. The scout ability Combat Recon is one of them. Cheap actions with a per turn cap are exactly the sort of thing you want slotted into a long turn. Your best turns will get dramatically longer once all of that clicks. Number 4 is buried in a stat screen, and it matters enormously. Look at an operator's movement value and you will see it broken into 3 separate numbers. On the character I checked, the first action point bought 8 meters of movement. The second and third only bought 5 meters each. So movement is not priced evenly across your turn. Your first step covers substantially more ground than either of the 2 that follow it. The practical lesson here is simple. Spending 1 point to reposition is efficient, while spending all 3 to sprint across a map is genuinely poor value. If a position takes your whole turn to reach, it is usually the wrong position. Take the 8 meters and keep 2 points for something that actually accomplishes anything. Worth adding that those numbers are listed per operator rather than being universal. So a scout built around covering ground will not be reading the same figures as your heavy. Go and look at the movement line on each of your 4 before a mission. Number 5 is about the resource everybody instinctively saves for a rainy day. Advantage is the shared pool that powers your strongest abilities. It caps at 10 points, and that cap is the part nobody mentions. Once you are sitting at 10, every additional point you would have earned simply evaporates. The official tips put it bluntly. Damage you do beyond that before spending is leaving money on the table. So the instinct to save advantage for an emergency is actively costing you damage. Spend it and generate more and then spend it again. The pool refills through completely ordinary play. So treating it as precious is the mistake. A rocket strike you actually fired is worth far more than 5 wasted points you were saving for a boss who never turned up. Number 6 is the fine print on Overwatch, and it is written right there in the tooltip if you stop to read it. Overwatch gives you 1 shot for every action point you put into it. So committing 2 points is not simply a longer watch. It is 2 separate shots on the enemy turn. There are 2 more lines worth knowing about. Overwatch breaks completely if that operator takes any damage before it triggers. So a character sitting out in the open on Overwatch probably will not get to use it at all. And an Overwatch shot that hits a moving enemy has a 50% chance to stop that movement outright. That turns Overwatch from passive damage into genuine crowd control. Used properly, it is a plan rather than a fallback for a bad turn. Number 7 will save you a lot of unnecessary difficulty. Utility items like grenades refresh at the start of every single battle. They are not a limited stock you are slowly burning through across the campaign. The official tips say it plainly. Use every item every time. Anybody who has played a role-playing game knows the instinct we are fighting here. You hoard the good consumables for an emergency that somehow never arrives, then finish the game with a bag full of unused grenades. That instinct is completely wrong in Zero Company. An unused grenade at the end of a mission is a wasted resource rather than a saved one. Throw them and then throw the replacements next mission. Keep doing exactly that all campaign long. Number 8 will stop you throwing away perfectly good runs. A lot of missions here are not asking you to kill everything on the map. They are asking you to reach an extraction zone instead. And the important detail is exactly how those missions end. The moment your entire squad is standing inside that zone, the mission is over. It does not wait for the last enemy to die. So once you have what you came for, leave. Players lose characters constantly by clearing one more room they were never asked to clear. Check the objective before you start fighting because an extraction mission rewards discipline rather than aggression. Walking out with everybody alive counts as a win, even if half the enemies are still standing there watching you go. Number 9 sits in the armory screen where most people will skim straight past it. Weapon modifications slot into your guns to change their stats and add unique effects, but every weapon carries a limited number of modification slots. Here is the part the game mentions very quietly. That number is not fixed. The tooltip says the slot count can be increased at the upgrade facility back at the den. So a weapon you wrote off for having a single slot can become something considerably better later. That reframes how you think about spending on the strategy layer. Investing in facilities is not only about unlocking new things to buy, it directly raises the ceiling on gear you already own. One more detail from the same screen, modifications carry a rarity label, and the one I was looking at was tagged as basic. That strongly implies better versions of the same modification exist further in, so do not settle on a mod permanently just because it is the first of its kind you found. Check what your favorite weapon could become before replacing it. Number 10 follows straight on from that because not every modification is a flat damage increase. Some of them feed directly back into your action economy. There is a basic weapon mod called Rapid Cycler that grants a 6% chance to restore an action point after attacking. 6% sounds tiny written down like that. Now, remember what we said about 3 points being a holding limit rather than a budget? Anything handing points back is fuel for longer turns. Across a full campaign, a small chance like that fires far more often than you would expect. So when you are comparing modifications, do not only read the damage numbers. A mod that occasionally hands you an extra action can easily outperform a flat few points of damage. Number 11 is an entire stat most players will never stop to think about. Open any operator and you will find assist damage listed alongside their ordinary weapon damage. Assists are their own system in this game. When one character sets a target up, another one can pile into that attack alongside them. That contribution runs off the assist damage number rather than the normal one. Several kits are built specifically around this. The Scoundrel marks a target so it can assist whoever attacks next, and its passive raises assist damage directly. Hawks buffs assist damage for the entire squad simply by being on the field. So think twice before stacking every piece of gear purely for raw weapon damage. You may be starving the half of your squad that is built to help. Number 12 catches people out because everybody talks about the black market. What they tend not to mention is that you do not start with it. Unlocking the black market appears in the Den upgrade list as something you buy. It sits alongside options like a droid repair bay and extra crew quarters. So those rarer weapons and better grenades everybody keeps recommending are behind an investment decision you have to make first. That is worth planning for early in a campaign. Say you intend to buy your way toward a strong squad. The facility that lets you do it needs paying for before any of that becomes possible. Look through your upgrade list in the first few hours rather than discovering the option 20 missions later. Number 13 is about building bonds without going out of your way to do it. Relationships between operators are not only built through story moments back at base, they also grow through what you do during a fight. Using paired attacks and the backup ability builds the relationship between the two characters involved, and backup is free, which is the detail doing the real work here. It costs you nothing, so there is no argument for skipping it when the game offers. Those bonds then cash out as cross-training, which improves damage and critical hit chance among other stats. So a squad that fights together consistently is quietly getting stronger in ways the mission screen never shows you. The personnel screen even tracks it for you. It shows how many cross-training options an operator currently has waiting to be spent right next to their unspent focus points. Bonds also carry a visible level running from low upward. Keep your pairs together and let those numbers build. Number 14 is advice that came from the official channels, which is what makes it interesting. The tips published alongside launch suggest saving before an important battle. Sit with what that implies for a second. This is a game shipping with an optional permadeath setting and a full Iron Man mode called Beskar. The people who made it are quietly telling everybody else that reloading is a completely legitimate way to play it. So if you lose a favorite operator to one catastrophic roll, you are allowed to take that back. Nobody is handing out awards for suffering through it. Missions also show you a difficulty rating on the selection screen before you commit. So you generally get fair warning about which ones deserve a save first. And number 15 is the one the developers are deliberately keeping from you. Zero company ships with 12 specializations. 8 of those are the standard classes any operator can take, and 3 more are exotics tied to specific characters. That leaves a 12th one unaccounted for. BitReactor have never revealed what it is. Reporting ahead of release said the studio would either announce it later or simply leave it in there for players to discover themselves. And as I am recording this on launch day, it is still a mystery. Nobody has published what it actually is, so somebody watching this video is going to be among the first people to run into it. If you find a specialization that does not match anything in any guide, you have very probably found it. So that is 15 things this game keeps fairly quiet about. If you only carry 2 of them into your next session, make it these. 3 action points is a holding limit rather than a spending budget. An advantage sitting at the cap is advantage you are throwing away. Both of those genuinely change how a turn works. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these did you already know, and what have you found that is not on this list? Let me know down in the comments because there is clearly plenty still buried in here. We are covering Zero Company right through launch, so subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.